then looks at circle definitions, and there are a lot of terms and terminologies that are associated with them you have to know. You'd be surprised, and a couple of equations as well, so try and memorize these ready for the exam. Understandably, this is, you'll probably know, a circle with just the one side and an equal distance, a line that's an equal distance from a central point. You may or may not know this, but this line, which runs from a straight line running from the center to the edge of the circle, is called the radius. And then if we extend that line so it runs from one side of the circle to the other through the center, it's called the diameter. Notice the important thing I said there was it runs through the center. And another point to note as well is that the diameter is twice the radius. That'll come up in questions and certain exam questions where you have to apply geometric rules to diagrams, and you have to take into account that the diameter is twice the radius, or the radius is half the diameter. Now, as I said, it's important to remember that the diameter runs through the center of the circle, because you could have one of these lines which is connecting the edge of the circle at two places, but it doesn't run through the center, and that's called a chord. So that's the difference between a diameter and a chord. The diameter, they both touch the edge of the circle at 2 points, but the diameter runs through the center, whereas the chord does not run through the center. Now this part by here, which is difficult to create on the PowerPoint, but I've done it in as best I could with straight lines. If you've got part of the edge of the circle, a small curve if you like, then we call that an arc. And then if we join up that arc by 2 radii to the center with this like piece of pie, which we call a segment. So the diameter of the circle, remember, is the radius multiplied by 2. And now we've got something called the circumference. Notice how that I was calling the outside of the circle, the edge of the circle. Well, actually it should be called the circumference of the circle. So, for instance, the diameter connects the circumference at 2 points running through the center. The chord connects the circumference at 2 points. The circumference, the distance around the outside of the circle, can be calculated using the formula 2 pi r, or 2 multiplying pi, the number pi, by 2 by r, by the radius. Pi is a special number developed in ancient Greek to start with, and we've expanded it. It goes on forever. You can use a calculator button, or sometimes as well we use 3.14 because those are the first 3 numbers of the pi. So 2 times 3.14 times the radius of the circle will give us the distance around the outside. For the actual surface area then, it's a similar sort of equation. We use pi r squared. So this is pi, 3.14, times the radius, and that'll give us the full area. And you'll use those two formula a lot in certain things. 2 pi r for the circumference and pi r squared for the circle area. In the case of a segment area, you multiply the arc length by the radius and divide by 2. Essentially what you've done is worked out what portion of the whole circle it is and divided the area of the circle itself by that portion. So you worked out that it's a third of the circle, the segment is, divide the area of the circle by a third. That's sort of, this formula sort of crams those two together. When you simplify it out, all it says simply is that the arc length times the radius divided by 2.